Hi, right, this is how we're going to make a telescope with the two lenses that we used last time. It's really simple to do, so this is the equipment down here on the desk. Okay, we've got a ruler, that's going to help us. We've got our big lens, and if you remember that had a focal length of 20. We've got our small lens, which has a focal length of 10. And I've got two little bits of blue tack, which I'm just going to roll a little bit like that, and you'll see why. So, this is how you arrange it. Let's, first of all, put this somewhere. I'm going to start off putting this at about 10 centimetres. It doesn't matter where you put it though. And I'm just going to stand it up on there like that. Now we, in a previous lesson, have measured the focal length of this lens, and it's 10 centimetres. So 10 centimetres away from the centre of the lens up here will be the focal length point, the focal point of this lens. From 10 centimetres further on brings me up to 20. So that's roughly where the focal point, and that's the focal length of this lens. Now I'm going to put this somewhere. Remember that this bigger lens, okay, had a focal length of 20. Well, I'm going to just put this so that the focal length of this happens to be there. From 20, I'm going to go up another 20 centimetres to here, because this lens has a focal length of 20 centimetres. So I'm basically arranging both of these lenses so that their focal lengths bump into each other. And they bump into each other exactly there. That's the focal length for this lens, and that's the focal length for this lens. And that is all a telescope is. This lens is a magnifying glass for whatever this lens brings to a picture here. So we're going to look from this side, and that will be our telescope. Okay, so this is our telescope. Okay, two lenses. There's the eyepiece lens, and there is the lens which is called the objective lens. That just is a fancy word which means that's the thing that collects all the light. And as you can see on here, that first green line down to the blob there, that is the focal length of this lens. And here we have the eyepiece lens, and that little green arrow is the focal length of the eyepiece lens. So if we look down here, we're just going to look outside of this window, okay, and then all we're going to do, I can just tip that so it looks right, okay. We look through here and we can see things pretty much a lot bigger than they used to be. So it's a bit difficult to hold, but the camera can just about pick up that over in the distance we've got a rooftop with a small bit of leaf in the middle of the picture there. If we look at the same thing through our telescope, we see a magnified version of that rooftop and the leaves above it. Of course, it's upside down because the rays of light have crossed over, and what was at the top is now at the bottom. But that's a telescope made out of two lenses, a bit of blue tack and a meter ruler.